Hey everybody, this is Bailey from Dank Wargaming, and today we're trying out a new concept. This is the Dank Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and today we're featuring a special guest on this interview show, a player profile to be exact, and that is Captain Tall of Tall Wargaming.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, so thank you for joining us on the show today, and I just have a short list of questions here to ask you, Tall, about sort of yourself and your opinions on various aspects of the wargaming hobby specific to Warhammer 40,000. Does that sound like fun?
Sounds like a lot of fun right now. We're all stuck at home.
Yeah, during the coronavirus thing here, COVID-19, might as well just sit around and talk Warhammer, right?
Of course.
So the first thing we'd like to know here at Dankless Wargaming is how old you are.
I am 26 now. We tried recording this,
Oh yeah,
what was it, 2 weeks ago? And it was right before my
yeah.
birthday.
It was literally the day
Um,
before.
yeah, so as of right now, I am 26 years old.
There we go. Well, happy belated birthday, early birthday, however you want to take it.
I'll take it for next year. How
There
about
we
that?
go. Where can we find you regionally? So, like, if we were going to go to tournaments in the United States, where generally would we run into you across the table?
I am. I like to go to tournaments in the Midwest. You can find me if it's a decent sized tournament in kind of Illinois, Indiana,
Okay.
Ohio, Michigan area.
All right.
But I reside in Indiana, northern Indiana, and so if there's something local, I might go.
Excellent. How long have you been playing Warhammer 40,000?
I've only been playing. Oh Lord, how long has it been since Eighth came out? 2 years?
Yes, about that long.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been 2 years. I think
Might be longer.
you actually I think started me on this whole path. I seem to remember you and a couple other people painting miniatures, and I come into the shop with a Magic the Gathering deck, and no one wants to play Magic. Everyone's gathered around the table with their Warhammer models. I'm like, huh, that looks like something I can spend thousands of dollars on.
Yeah, we do that to a lot of people. It happens quite a lot, so don't worry. You're not the only one we've duped into the hobby. All right, Captain Too Tall, we're going to move into our second section of the interview where we talk about the hobby itself. And
Sure.
what we all want to know over here at Dankless Wargaming is, do you prefer chaos or the Imperium of Man?
Let me reach over to my For the Emperor coffee cup and tell you a little story about the Emperor of Mankind. I'm all about the Emperor.
Okay.
When I first started, I may have been a little elf Xenos person,
Oh, yeah, I
but
remember those
I
days.
have, yeah, I
I
have
remember the
so
AdMech before that.
you know what? I started with Imperium, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, look, it was well. First it was Blood Angels,
yeah.
and then it was Space Wolves, then it was AdMech, then it was Eldar. Everyone has to go through a Xenos phase
Yeah.
at some point. And then after that, I went back to Guard, so that's where I'm at right now. But I think I'm just gonna stick with Imperium armies in general. I like all the themes. Um, Really, I kind of got into Eldar because I really like going fast.
Yeah, oh yeah, they
But
go
if you
fast.
if you run nothing but guard tanks, turns out you can go kind of fast.
That's true. And you can sit on stuff really cheaply.
Oh yeah.
So that sort of answers our second question a little bit, is what are you playing right now and briefly why? And it sounds like you're playing Imperial Guard and or Astra Militarum as they're now known, but I remember when they were Imperial Guard and you like them to go fast.
I do like to go fast. I mean, ever since I started playing, I really liked big tanks, big vehicles. I think the first model I bought was an Imperial Knight. So I like that the Guard have a lot of tanks, very cheap tanks. I think they have, for the most part, the cheapest tanks in the in 40K. And I just like running dudes, and I like running big tanks with scary
Oh,
weapons.
hey, that's how you got to do it sometimes. All right, so our next question is, and I think I already know the answer based on the way we've been talking, is if you had to choose between one of these Grand Supreme Commanders, would you pick Rabute Bobby G. Gilman or Abaddon They're no longer the disappointment despoiler.
uh, I think so. Lore wise, I'm gonna say Bobby G all day. My heart says Bobby G. I think in-game rules, Abaddon kind of got the codex creep effect a little bit,
Right?
with like the half damage and all that nonsense. So I think
That's
Abaddon
really
would
good.
win if you just have the two models. But I think overall, I would say Bobby G.
All right. So you mentioned earlier that you've played a lot of different armies. So what we would like to know is what features do you look for when you pick one of those new armies?
So somebody who is kind of new-ish to 40K, but has gone through a lot of armies,
Right?
I would say you got to look at um, what you like to play, play style wise. Also, you have to like the look of your
Oh
miniatures.
yes, that's a big deal.
I think it's a bigger deal than people give it credit for because I know there was a brief stint where I think I picked up Thousand Suns. I was like, oh,
Oh
these
yeah.
guys are going to be so good. Their codex is coming out, whatever. And I just really didn't like the models too much. I mean, they're cool, but it wasn't really
Right.
my style. And the army doesn't really play how I like to play. Um,
I understand that
so
feeling completely.
so when if you're just trying to be super competitive, I mean, you can be competitive now with just about any army, realistically. So you really have to look at the models and be like, am I okay with painting this army for 100 hours? And if the answer is no, then
Right.
probably don't go with that.
That's the key. That's the key. And dealing with painting all those models, if you had to choose between one and the other one would cease to exist, would you keep Nolan Oil or Airgrax Earthshade? You only get one.
Null oil every day, all day. I mean, I use Earthshade a lot, but between the two, I have a lot of tanks, so you're gonna need to make those tanks look a little dirty. Get some of that oil on the metallic parts, and yeah, I think that's what I'd go with. I would hate to not have Earthshade because
Yeah,
I use
it's
that on like a lot of my flesh models, but
right.
yep, I have to go with the oil on that one.
All right. Hey, it makes sense to me. So if you preferring Nolan Oil, do you also prefer ITC or a league or a tournament series for when you play competitively in Warhammer? So basically, what is your preferred competitive format?
Uh, so I really like back in January I went to Glass City, and I know Michigan GT usually in October I think. Kind of do this hybrid where
Okay.
it's an ITC tournament, and for the most part the rules are ITC. They have like I think two unique missions thrown in there,
Oh, that's always fun.
um, which yeah, it is fun. And they use like maelstrom cards and stuff, but um, it's ITC, but they also include hobby score, sportsmanship, and paint. About 40 to 50% of the total score at the
That's
end.
cool.
So I kind of like the hybrid events because if it's just ITC, um, sometimes you'll have people. I actually just happened at a tournament right before Corona hit that I went to, and top table was a gray Space Marine army versus a gray Space Marine army,
Ooh,
and it was really
no.
painful to look at, sitting on table two. And I spent 30 or 40 hours trying to just get everything three color standard,
Right.
and I got over 100 models. And then you look next to you, and this guy's got 40 Space Marines, and they're all just gray plastic. It was terrible. You don't like to see that.
No.
And so that and sportsmanship I think is pretty big when when it's actually part of the score.
Right.
People tend to be a lot nicer, and honestly just bring lists that are not as toxic to play against. I've noticed.
That's pretty key.
um, you know I've been to a few tournaments that are just pure ITC, and I've had some opponents that are very questionable.
Right.
um, but usually when I'm at a tournament where sportsmanship is at least included in the score to some degree, or there's a sportsmanship award, usually I have a really good time. And usually, I'm adding people as Facebook friends and all that good stuff.
And
So,
that happens more often than not, because right, we have the idea that tournament play sometimes is super toxic and everyone's mean. But we've had to say when it comes to making new friends and adding on Facebook and just continuing to have a friendship or relationship with people you've played, is that more often the case than otherwise?
oh, obviously, I think, if you're hesitant about going to a tournament, I think some tournaments are going to be a little bit more toxic, I think. Um, but really, I've only been to, I think, one tournament where that was the case. And that was really just because my first round opponent did the old I have a million orcs and I'm going to stall the game out
Oh,
for
yeah,
two
yeah.
turns. Yeah, that was kind of painful. And he wasn't really a nice guy either, so that didn't help.
Right,
But, all the other games that day, except for my foul mood because of that guy, were good, good people.
right. Oh, that's good to
Um,
hear.
and every tournament that I go to, I always either run into people I know from past tournaments, and we get together and hang out, or I meet somebody and we just start talking, and then we add each other on Facebook, and we'll see each other at other events, and we'll be like, oh hey, what's up, man? So I mean, it really does kind of give you a sense of community sometimes.
No, I agree. That's what I love about this hobby is the sense of community you get, sense of belonging you can find with other people who are just as passionate about the hobby as you are. Speaking of
Yeah.
adding to the community, uh, we all saw on Instagram and all of our social media this week that the actor Henry Cavill,
Yeah.
something like that. All right, has now joined us in the hobby as a Custodes player. But the question we have for you is: do you prefer him in his role as Superman or as Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher?
I'm gonna have to go with Geralt. Um,
Excellent.
the the Okay, so I liked him as Superman in the Justice League movie, especially like the last few minutes of him as Superman, because I know they did like a lot of reshoots and they kind of changed his character up a lot. He seemed much more like the typical Superman towards the end of the movie. Um, but I don't know, the Man of Steel movie, I did not like that too
Yeah,
much.
I don't even know if I watched that movie to be fair.
It's it is what it is. But yeah, he's actually a pretty good Geralt from what I understand. I watched the series twice now, so
There
I
you
like it.
go. I've been chugging through the books. It's a fun read.
I mean, I'm not surprised he's a Custodes player given the two main roles we know him for.
Protector of the people.
Yeah.
So, Captain Too Tall, where can people find more about you and your tournament and hobby exploits?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I have it pulled up right here. You can watch my YouTube videos at Captain Too Tall. You can join my Facebook group. It's Too Tall War Games. It's not super active right now with coronavirus, but I'm planning on getting it kind of up and running again here in a few weeks. And you can send me tweets at Too Tall Captain. Um, I will try to respond to them. I'm still learning this whole Twitter thing. I sound like an old person. I'm not, but
Well, Twitter's got a fun Warhammer community, I can tell you that.
yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
All right, if you like this video, this interview, and you want to see more content like this, please like, comment, and share this video. If you want to know more about Dankless Wargaming, please check to the video description below. Till next time, I'm Bailey, reminding you that if your lists start to tank, then it is time to get dank.
Bye.